This segment of the CU podcast is sponsored by Into the AM, where they have premium, high-quality apparel, including nice graphic tees, basic tees like the one I'm holding, hoodies, and even boxer briefs. Ian is wearing the Tree of Life tee.
And Pat's wearing the Overseer.
Yeah, aliens are coming to attack. Yeah, these are nice designs. There's a nice fit to them. They stand out a little bit, right?
Fabric is soft.
It's very soft. And they have a lot more on their site, a lot of variety of graphic tees. They have the Summer Islands tee I'm looking at right now on their site. It's a beautiful little sort of Hawaiian vibe. There's a wavy tee, sort of like a Southern California theme going on. And I like this digital space tee, where it's like an 80s sort of graphic, right on the bottom with like a multicolored sunset in the background. So right now, they're running bundles. You can get 3 graphic tees for only $60 or 3 basic tees like this one for only $45. So yeah, it's a great deal right now. And plus, you can get an extra 10% off right now by clicking on the link if you're watching on YouTube below. Or you can use code CONTRI, CONTRI, and you'll get 10% off these very comfortable shirts and gear at intotheam.com. Again, use code CONTRI, CONTRI, to save 10% off. Go look good and feel good with Into the AM.
What are we going to do? We're going to do a little question and answer. We're going to do a little phone call action.
Well, they're not phone calls, but yes, they're voice messages that you can leave on anchor.fm/the CU podcast.
Language is malleable. You know what I meant.
Especially English. All right, the literary podcast now, and you can leave us a short little voice message. That's all. Say, hey, here's my question. I'm from New Jersey. I like pork roll, and you go. So, and I had it ready to go, and now it disappeared on me. Okay.
John found pork roll out in the middle of the desert. Pork roll really is just moving across.
Oh, are people discovering it? My campaign has worked.
I mean, John always knew about it, but he can get it now, and he lives out by fucking Joshua Tree.
When you say middle of the desert, you're like walking around aimlessly, and there's a guy in an oasis.
That's kind of where like his place is.
Okay, the first one here is from this person.
Hey, so since you're doing a new book, you get to review my favorite game, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. It's one of the best reviewed games in the world, currently 98% on Metacritic. And I was just wondering if you guys think it is a better platformer collectathon than, say, Banjo-Kazooie or Super Mario 64, since essentially what you're doing in the game is going to each level and collecting items, and skateboarding is more of the secondary goal.
Oh.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Marcus. When you said platformer, my mind almost shut off like he was talking about Back to the Future. Being a shooter.
Yeah.
My mind went like, what? Is it? It's a collectathon, huh? I'm not reviewing that for the book. Dagan is actually reviewing the first one right now. I'll be looking at it soon.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 is fantastic. I skipped school when it came out.
Is it good for the N64?
I didn't play it on the N64. B, that's an interesting way to look at it, but you're right. It's skateboarding is a focus on it, but really being able to maneuver the levels and travel around them efficiently is more important for most of the goals. So, yeah, fun way to think about it.
All right.
Hey, Pat. Hey, Ian. This is Ryan Banks from Toronto. First-time listener, long-time caller, whatever, however that saying goes, okay? MC Kids for the NES.
Yes.
Is one of the most underrated games of all time.
A hidden gem.
It's one of the better platformers ever. Like, honestly, I think it's up there with Super Mario Bros. And all those other great platformers. Am I crazy? Or is this just a great game that gets disrespected? A McDonald's title. Let me know what you guys think, man. Love the show. Keep up the hard work. Keep it up. Love you guys, man.
Love you, Ryan. You started to lose me there a lot.
Roller coaster feelings there. Don't know that it's
one of the best platformers ever. No.
It's fun. It's fun. It's a good game.
It's unique.
It is not comparable to Mario Brothers, but it amazes me now as much as it did as a kid that there is a licensed McDonald's game that actually is decent. There's supposed to be a good McDonald's game on the Genesis that Treasure made. I've never played it, but it's supposed to be pretty good. There's also Mick and Mac Global Gladiators for the Genesis.
That's what I'm thinking of. There's two on the Genesis?
There's two. I think the one didn't come out here. It's like McDonald's Treasure Land or something like that.
Is that a gem that you're releasing?
Anyways, good game. Certainly not Mario Brothers.
All right. Next.
Hey guys, Robert Wright from San Diego, California
Oh,
here. I have
hello.
a question for each of you. First, Pat, you're always talking about intermediate fasting, but I was wondering what you use. Like, is there a specific website or book, where you get your routine from?
Did he mock me with a laugh?
I think he might have.
You're always talking about intermediate fasting.
I don't appreciate that, Robert. I'm trying to push you in better shape. Well, first of all, it's intermittent fasting, but no, I don't use an app. You don't need an app. It's just like, all right, I'm not going to eat till 2:30 in the afternoon today. That's basically what you say. I'll eat from 2:30 to like 9 at night, and that's it. That's all you do. I almost murdered that man, Ian.
Yeah, I know.
Or book, where you get your routine from. I was just curious into looking into it. And Ian, what do you recommend at the fish pit? I live pretty close to it, and I've only eaten there once. So
All right.
This person actually came in earlier this week and asked me because they didn't think we were going to get to it. But I'll tell you again what I tell everyone. 3 ways to do this.
Oh, Jesus.
It's very quick, Pat. You'll live. 3 ways to do this. You go and you get salmon tacos and a house poke bowl, the fish pit style poke bowl, or you show up on the weekend, you pay him the $35, and you let him do the chef's choice thing and just bring you course after course.
Oh, wow. It's just like stuff your face. All right. Next.
Gentlemen, you good? This is Matt from New York. My question is, if you could demake any modern game into a 16 to 32-bit format, which would you choose?
32.
Me personally, I'd love to see The Witcher 3 remade into an action RPG like Legend of Zelda or its superior counterpart, Crusader of Senti. Love the podcast. You guys stay safe.
Thanks.
I actually have an answer to this. Monster Hunter.
Oh.
I saw someone posted on Twitter some really, really great Secret of Mana, Legend of Mana style sprite work of some of the new big monsters in the game, and it looked great. And I could see that being fun in a way. There's a way to do it.
Hey, here's my impression of Ian. Here's my impression of Pat. Unfunny tangent. Sorry. Pat math.
All right, it goes on from there. All right, Richard, I have your full last name here, you idiot. You really love us enough to listen to us enough to try to know the idiosyncrasies of our speech patterns, but then also sign up to Anchor with your real name, and then also, leave us a nice message. You love us. We make your life warmer, really, I think.
You are unloved, and you will die alone.
Oh, okay. I was trying to be nicer than Ian. He went bad cop. I went semi good cop there. Didn't work out for you. Best of luck, Richard L. Best of luck to you. All right, next.
Hi, Pat and Ian. I'm Nick from Long Island, New York, and I'm a big fan of the both of you.
Oh.
My question is, what are your plans for what happens to your collection if you died unexpectedly? Knock on wood, of course. If you do have plans, are they simple or detailed, and do you have faith that those plans would be honored?
Would they be honored? That's fine. We talked about this before about, like, I have a list of, like, the most expensive games I have. Would they be honored? I don't know. I guess my sister would want the money, from the expensive games. It's like, you don't want to just toss this stuff out. I don't have, like, plans about, like, donating stuff right now because, like, who would take it? That's always the thing about, like, well, when you die, a museum will take it. No, they won't. There's no museum that would take your stuff. There's, like, maybe 1 or 2 museums that might in the U.S. or maybe 3, but, like, most of the shit they don't want, so... Would they honor it? I don't know.
We've discussed this a billion times, so I'm just going to say that he has a really good voice. It would be great for podcasts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Third mic, Pat replacement. When Pat has a nervous breakdown and travels the world, gives away all his worldly possessions, and becomes a monk. Not that I thought about that before. Vow of poverty and all that. What?
Hi, this is Nick from California. This question is for Ian. I was wondering, Ian, as a vinyl collector, are you aware of the VGM vinyl scene? And do you collect VGM vinyl?
Yeah, I'm aware of it. I dip into it here and there. When Data Discs first started doing their releases, they started with, I think it was Streets of Rage Volume 1 was the first one they did. I was geared up to just go in on, like, everything they released. But it's expensive. They're nice releases, but they're expensive. And everyone started putting out VGM vinyl. So I've dialed back on it. The reason being, while I like video game music a lot, it's not something that I'm throwing on my turntable a lot to listen to.
Sure, it's hard to listen to a whole soundtrack of a.
There are ones that are great, but it's just it's not what I. It's not what I think of. You're not gaining anything necessarily by throwing it on vinyl. You know, but there's a lot of sets that look nice. Mondo's done a lot of good ones. Data Discs has done a lot of good ones. There's a lot.
You're right about that. It's digital to begin with. Now you're putting on vinyl. There's not really a point.
There's a lot of vinyl releases these days come from digital masters, which ruins the point. But whatever. But I do like it. I find myself going to it. I put it on the turntable less than I put my other records on. Same thing with like soundtracks. I don't buy a lot of movie soundtracks because I just don't listen to them as often. There are some that I do, but not a ton. But yeah, I just listened to the Katamari soundtrack yesterday. That's a great soundtrack. Oh. There are some that are worth owning.
Hey, Pat and Ian. This is a question from Jim. I was just wondering, Pat, would you ever do an Avengers-style crossover YouTube thing with James, Rolf, Markiplier?
Markiplier?
I don't know who else, Peanut Butter Gamer or something like that. Okay, just wondering. Bye.
I don't know if that's supposed to be serious or not. Or it's like he's just like, oh, I'll just think of names and I forgot names. Like Markiplier has nothing to do with James or Austin.
Yeah, that was my thing.
Like Austin, James, and me all know each other.
I was gonna say that would make some more sense.
Markiplier. Yeah. I think we're past the age of the huge Avengers crossover. The nostalgia critic disastrous movies sort of put the nail in that coffin when you hear about how bad it was behind the scenes. And
I can't believe people ever put up with that.
They would go film that shit for over a week and a half and get nothing in return, and then like it sounds like it was a horror show. It was amateurish.
Yeah.
Not shitting on the people that made that, but it just sounds like that was the worst time of anyone's life.
Yeah, it sounds
awful. They did 4 of those fucking things, and the last one was 3 hours long. They released. I think it was like over 3 hours long. Sorry. No, I would be a part of a production that was like well written, and thought out and well produced professional. I would do that. Absolutely, I would do that. But I think we're sort of almost not that it's passé to do the scripted stuff as much, but there's not many YouTubers still doing the scripted stuff. James is still doing it. He just put out a Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas little one of the best videos he ever did, to be honest. Recently, very artistic for like a video game thing, but it's hard to do that.
What was it a review for?
For like Vegas Steaks and Caesar's Palace stuff. Stuff that I done way back in the day. He did with like a really cool like vibe of Fear and Loathing, like the plot. Yeah,
that'd be cool. But yeah, I was gonna say I think that's kind of
it's passé.
That was a trend thing.
It's passé.
Yeah,
that was also when like Blip was like we get money off of Blip, so I don't know. You had more freedom to do that shit. All right, next.
Hello, my name is Edgar. I'm a fan from Los Angeles. A few weeks ago, I repaired a Paper Mario cartridge using parts from a cheap Japanese Pokemon Stadium because I really want to play it. My question is, what have less value, a non-functional cartridge or a repair one with cannibalized parts? Love the show. Please keep the good work.
Good question, Edgar. We never really addressed this before. We almost did. So his question was, is a non-functional cartridge worth more than one with cannibalized parts? That's very interesting. It sounds like he cannibalized a Pokemon Stadium board for that game, for Paper Mario. It's very interesting.
I'd be interested. I think it comes down to what did you use? Did you just take, if it's one of those things where I've said, when it comes to cosmetics, for instance, if the back panel is cracked, replace it with another back panel. They're the same. There's nothing unique or special about it.
Oh, yeah, sure. Who cares?
Is it a different chip inside? Did you burn the ROM?
Sure.
I don't know. I honestly don't have an answer to that question.
Is it now like a car or an arcade machine? Because an arcade machine, it's like, well, it's different parts swapped out, aftermarket stuff. Maybe the different board. That's a good question. I don't know. What percentage of it has to be the original? Is it like that freaking philosophical thing about the boat?
Theseus ship.
Theseus ship. Replacing all the planks of wood until it's a different ship entirely.
So, I mean, if you're replacing it with an identical part that just happens to be from a different cartridge, I don't think there's really any problem there. If you started replacing it with if you bought a blank ROM, and I don't know exactly how this works, but if you bought a blank ROM chip and reflashed the ROM to it and put it in the cartridge, well,
or even put a flash board in there somehow. Yeah, it could be. Like,
at that point it gets weirder.
Buy a cheap AliExpress board and put it in your commercial cartridge. Like I'm sure you can do that.
It gets stranger at that point. I really don't know, but it's a fun thing to think about.
Theseus cartridge.
Hey guys, I had a question about 3DS StreetPass.
Oh.
What is the distance that StreetPass works at? Like how far away? Because one night years ago I woke up and I had a new StreetPass on my 3DS in my house. And it wasn't like near a window. It's always creeped me out. So anyway, that's what I was wondering.
The StreetPass is coming from inside your house. Repeat, the StreetPass is coming from inside your... Wow, that would creep me out.
That would creep me out,
like
too.
a serial killer running around with his 3DS outside your window?
Especially because it's a decent distance, but it's not like a shitload. I think it's something like 20 to...
Is it like Wi-Fi
I think it's
distance
20 to
or
40
less?
feet.
Like the Wi-Fi, kind of.
Yeah, I think it's like a 20 to 40 foot distance.
Before it dies out. That is creepy, though. Unless you had a next-door neighbor that was walking around and trying to peek through your window. It had it on. I don't know.
Yeah, weird.
That's creepy. The 3DS killer will be on Netflix documentary. That's the calling card.
Hello, Pat and Ian. This is Patrick from Staten Island.
Staten Island.
I recently added complete in-box copies of Vegas Dream and Lee Trevino's Fighting Golf for NES to my collection.
Whoa.
I'm very happy with those because they carry a sentimental value for me. My question is, do you have any games in your collection that may not be the most popular, valuable, rare, or even generally considered good for that matter, but you still hold them up as cornerstones of your collection because they have meaning to you? Thank you, guys.
Well, Ian says it every time he did the podcast and even before Tom Sawyer.
No. Well, Tom Sawyer is fun, but no, he's talking about ones that have a sentimental attachment. I absolutely have a game for that, and that's Battletoads. I fucking hate Battletoads. I can't stand that game.
But you say cornerstone of your collection.
Yeah, it's a cornerstone of my collection.
Oh, you have that in your collection, Battletoads?
Yeah, I never got rid of it because my grandmother gave it to me. It was a Christmas gift for my grandmother one year. I got along with my grandma famously, loved her to death, miss her dearly. No, that game will never go anywhere, and it's funny because had that copy of Battletoads come from anyone else, I would have gotten rid of that game fucking years and years ago because I can't stand it. But it came from her. It was a nice thought.
Got the box still and everything?
No, it's just a loose cartridge at this point. But yeah, I love it.
You know what game my grandma got me? Nothing.
Oh.
Neither of them did.
What a jerk.
Come on, Grandma.
What jerk?
You can buy me the Destro figure at the flea market for $5. Or it was $1. It was $1. $5. It was $1 in 1985. Come on, Grandma. Be nicer to me. Well, she's gone. She died in 2013. She died 2 years after my grandpa. Yeah. Come on, Grandma. You kill me. So, okay. Sentimental value. I love that. Come on. I don't think I can beat that Jaws prison flea market story. I don't even beat that. I'm always gonna love Jaws because of that.
Yep.
Not the greatest game, but that's. I don't have the original one though. I don't have any of the original games I have, but that one's up there. Cabal is kind of sentimental because my mom almost got arrested during that experience. So let me tell you that one real quick. I don't think I ever told.
I think you have, but I'm trying to remember it. So.
Okay. So the Reading outlets.
Yeah.
Reading, Pennsylvania. You even heard of those? You go there. We used to go like a week before school because you get your slacks and your socks and your underwear. Like in big fucking giant bins of them thrown in. I don't know how they got all this stuff. Some are imperfections, some are not. But there was a toy store they had. There was 2 toy stores they had in Reading, Pennsylvania. And then there was one that I went to. One of the last years we went there because we're talking about Cabal. So that was like 90, 91 that came out.
Okay.
Something like that. So we go in there and then my parents are usually nice because, hey, we'll put up for like fucking 11 hours of shopping.
Yeah.
We left the house
any trip to a outlet
you
mall
left the house at like
quick.
You left the house at 6. It was like an hour and a half to get to Reading. Get there at 7:30. 5 hours of shopping, lunch, 5 hours of shopping, go home. We have sandwiches at home. One of those sort of deals.
Right.
But they get me a toy every time there. I usually get a toy. Like I got one time, I got like the Swamp G.I. Joe, the Swamp Dreadnought glow in the dark copter. I got one time. So one time I go there though. It might have been this time I got that, but there was a handheld motocross Tomy game. Remember the mechanical ones?
I have that one literally at home right now.
Yeah, where you go back and forth. It's from late 90s, or actually late 80s, early
late
90s.
80s, yeah.
And so I saw that in the shelf, and I'm dumb. I was like 9. Maybe I was like 9, and I thought it was like an LCD game. I didn't know it was mechanical. Looking at the cover, I think it was a little false advertising on the box because it looked like it was like glowing a little bit. So I get it, and I open it up, and I'm like playing with it in the store. My mom's there, and I'm like, "Oh, I don't like this game." Like I thought it was like an LCD because I had the Tiger games.
Sure.
I was like, "Oh, I don't like this," and so my mom was like, "Oh, can we return this?"
Mm-hmm.
And then they said no. They said all sales are final here. And then my mom freaked out. Not only in the store, she went outside the store.
Oh,
I think this was legal, but they almost called the cops on her. She was outside the store basically telling people, like, I can't believe this. Don't do business with these people. Meanwhile, my father's still when my father's the reasonable one, you're in trouble, first of all. My father's still inside being like, okay, can we work this out? And they finally agreed to do an exchange.
Sure.
With the value of that, maybe plus cash or something, because that game was probably $15 or something. But they had some NES games at this outlet somehow, and they weren't that much money. They weren't like $50 or $40. They were like maybe $25. They had all the Milton Bradley ones, which were cheaper.
Yeah,
I guess.
they always were.
You know, like it was always cheaper for like Captain Sky. It was always a budget.
I
Captain
remember
Skyhawk, and Time Lord was always cheap.
I got my buddy
Yes.
Time Lord for his birthday when I was
cheap.
younger because it was a $20 game.
So I'm guessing Cabal was $20. So I never forget this. While we're looking for something to exchange, we figure out they had NES games. Oh, there's a $20 one. The woman on the phone, it was 2 women that worked there, poor women, had put up with my mom. One called the police and said, yes, we have this woman outside telling people not to come into the store. And my father looked like, oh boy, we got to get out of there. So my father got the Cabal, did the exchange, and we were out the door. So Cabal, I always have a story with Cabal because of that. It's a fine game. It's a good port, but like my mom almost got arrested for me to get that game. So there you go. That was a good round of questions there. Thanks so much. My mom might remember that story. My mom doesn't listen to the podcast, I don't think. Actually, she might. I don't know. On her little iPad. But thanks for the questions.